All right, let's dive into one of the most powerful ideas of the 20th century, something from the brilliant mind of Herbert Simon. And trust me, this is a concept that's going to change how you see, well, pretty much everything, from a tiny ant to the entire global economy. It's all about the world we've built and the science behind it. So Simon asks us to picture this. You're watching an ant on a beach, and the path it takes to get home is just, wow, it's a masterpiece of complexity, right? It zigs, it zags, it stops, it has to go around a little pebble here, a clump of sand there. If you were to trace that line, it would look incredibly chaotic, intricate, maybe even intelligent. So when you see this incredibly complicated path, you've got to ask yourself, where is all that complexity actually coming from? Is the ant itself some kind of super genius with a sophisticated GPS built into its brain? Or is something else going on entirely? And here it is, Simon's brilliant insight. The ant's own rules are probably dead simple. Just keep heading kind of towards home, and if you hit something, well, go around it. That's it. The complexity we see isn't inside the ant, it's just a mirror reflecting the complex world, the beach, that it's moving through. This one idea was so powerful, it led Simon to suggest a whole new way of doing science. Right, so this core idea, simple inside, complex outside, led Simon to propose a brand new field, a science of the artificial. This isn't about things you find in nature, like rocks or stars. No, this is about things that are made, things designed to do a job. So what does Simon mean by the artificial? Well, he defines it as any system that's put together to achieve a goal. And this isn't just about machines. Sure, a clock is artificial, but you know what else is? A business plan, a piece of software, even a government policy. They're all things we create to make an internal set of rules work in the external world to, get something done. This brings us to a really cool concept. Every artificial thing is basically an interface. It's the meeting point between its own internal world, its guts, its rules, and the outer world it has to survive in. So for a clock, the inner environment is all its gears and springs, but its outer environment might be the wild rocking of a ship at sea, and it still has to tell the time. And what about us? Our inner environment is our own, limited brain power, and our outer environment is the incredibly complicated world we're all trying to figure out. Now, this whole idea of a simple inner system navigating a complex outer world, it doesn't just apply to ants. Simon's big leap was saying that we humans are basically the same. We might look like we have complex behavior, but a lot of that is just us, with our simple internal rules, dealing with a very, very messy world. And this is Simon's famous theory of bounded rationality. See, for centuries, classical economics was built on this myth of a perfectly rational economic man, a superhero who could calculate the absolute best outcome in any situation. Simon just said, nope, that's nonsense. Real people, you and me, we have limited information, limited cognitive horsepower, and we're always running out of time. We aren't gods. Our ability to be rational has limits or bounds. And the result of bounded rationality is fascinating. Because we can't be perfect, we don't optimize. We don't spend our lives trying to find the single absolute best solution to everything. Instead, we satisfice. It's a word Simon made up, a mashup of satisfy and suffice. We just look for a solution that's good enough. I mean, think about it. This is why you don't read every single online review in the city before picking a restaurant. You find one or two that look pretty good, they meet your criteria, and you just go. You satisfice. Okay, so if we're all just simple satisficers, kind of like that ant on the beach, it begs a huge question, right? How in the world do we manage to build things of just staggering complexity? I'm talking cities, supercomputers, the entire global economy. Well, Simon's answer is in the architecture of that complexity itself. To explain this, he told this perfect little parable. Imagine you have two watchmakers, Hora and Tempest. They both make these beautiful watches with 1,000 tiny pieces. Now Hora, he tries to assemble all 1,000 pieces in one go. The phone rings, he gets distracted, the whole delicate thing falls apart, and he's back to square one. But Tempest, he's smarter. He builds the watch out of stable 10-piece subassemblies. If he gets interrupted, he only loses the work on that one tiny part. So Tempest finishes amazing watches and gets rich, while poor Hora goes out of business. And the lesson here is just so profound. Complex systems, whether it's in biology or in society or technology, they are almost always hierarchical. They are built from stable, simpler subsystems, which are built from even simpler, stable bits. This architecture is what makes them strong and lets them develop and evolve so quickly. It's the secret sauce for building complexity out of simple parts. So, how does this actually apply to us? Let's take a chess grandmaster. To a beginner like me, the board is just this overwhelming mess of individual pieces. But a grandmaster, they don't see pieces. They see patterns, what Simon called chunks. It's estimated that a grandmaster has something like 50,000 of these chunks memorized. They've turned a super complex environment into a manageable collection of familiar, stable patterns. Okay, so let's pull all these ideas together. We've got the interface between our inner and outer worlds, we've got our own bounded rationality, and we've got the power of hierarchy to build complex things. Simon argued that all of these concepts point to one single central human activity: design. I absolutely love this definition of design from Simon. It's so empowering. Design isn't just for architects or engineers in turtlenecks. A doctor figuring out a treatment plan, they're designing. A manager setting up a new workflow, they're designing. A teacher structuring a lesson plan is designing. Anytime you try to change a situation from the way it is to the way you'd rather it be, you are designing. So this is it. This is the playbook. This is how we, as simple creatures, cope with an incredibly complex world. Design is just the process of creating that interface. You understand the outer environment, that's the problem. You understand your inner environment, your tools, and your limits. Then you search for a good enough solution, not a perfect one, and you build it using stable, hierarchical parts. This is really the core of all professional and creative work. And so that leaves us with this one final thought. If Simon is right, if we are all designers, constantly creating systems and plans and paths to navigate reality, it forces us to ask a much bigger question. What are the consequences of our designs? For ourselves, for our companies, for our society? Realizing that we are all just ants on a very complex beach, well, it's up to us to think very carefully about the path we're creating.